Okay, so here we go, guys. This is a class selection advice. I'm going to talk a little bit about the class in a general aspect. I finally feel that I know enough about all the classes or whatever to give you guys a proper video on them. So I guess first let's start out with the melee characters. So we have Knight, we have Berserker, we have Assassin, we have Thief, and then we have Runeblade, right? So that's 5 classes right out the back or whatever that are melee oriented. Okay, so the Knight is more of a support type character. There's no such thing as a traditional tank in this game, so the Knight main purpose will be to support his teammates and throw out DPS. Now a Knight is, I would say, about 80% of the damage that a Berserker is. So but the Berserker doesn't really have any support. The Berserker's job is to do raw DPS, just raw damage, period, and just smash through things or whatever, and it does a really good job at doing that. Okay, but the Knights also do a really good job as well, and a lot of times it comes down to who's better geared, who's going to do the most damage, you know what I mean? So don't get caught up in that whole thing, oh, I need to play a Berserker but I love the whole idea of a Knight. If you love the idea of the Knight, play the Knight. The Knight is a very fun class. I out DPS many other pure DPS classes all the time on it, and it could be because of gear, but like I said, it's not a slouch. It's pretty cool, and it's definitely capable of actually putting out DPS. Okay, so then we have the Berserker, which is the top melee DPS in the game right now. And what I mean by melee, I mean like, within melee range and stuff like that, not physical or like magical power and stuff like that, because there's some classes that can do a little bit of both. Okay, so this class is very amazing. It's really strong, and it has really nice sustain. It probably has the best sustain out of every class in the game, to be honest, other than priests, obviously, because they have heals. But the sustain is really nice, and the damage is really good. It's a class that doesn't lack. I mean, I would say it lacks on aesthetic as far as like, big flashy skills. It's kind of dark, but it's a fun class to play nonetheless. So on Thief, and Thief is a class that is kind of shunned in the community, and it's sad. It's not a class that lacks anything like performance wise or anything. It actually has one of the capabilities of pushing out some of the highest DPS in the game, giving that you play it and really love it, and don't just play it just because you want high DPS. Play it because you want a challenge. And to be honest, don't let it being a challenge or whatever scare you away from it either. I think most of the time playing on certain classes are muscle memory. So the more you play it, the better and the more fluent you're going to get with it, just like anything in life, So thieves are capable of being a top tier DPS class. So, and a lot of people don't recommend them to new players because they want you to get used to the game or whatever. But what happens is you play something like a Berserker, which is like completely face roll easy mode, and then you try to compare that with Thief. You can't compare those type of things. It's like apples and oranges. Like, you have a class that's built around mechanics, and then you have another class that's just built to face smash. You know what I mean? So if you go and you're like, oh, I'm gonna play Thief later on once I'm a little bit better at the game, you won't ever learn how to fully use the Thief to its top capabilities, because you would have been so used to like face rolling shit with the Berserker or the Knight or so, because on those classes you can kind of sit in danger and not have to worry about moving. So I recommend, if you like this class and the idea of this class, play it off the back and stick with it, and I'm telling you, it's going to reward you. You're going to feel great. Okay, so let's talk about the Runeblade. The Runeblade is kind of like a mixture between Wizard and a Berserker. It's really cool. It wears like heavy, it's a part of the heavy warrior classes or whatever, but it is still kind of squishy. I recommend this class for people that can't make up their mind between playing a caster or a melee character. Now, I know there's a lot of information going around about them not being able to do good DPS and stuff like that, but that's false. I've seen Runebladers pull over like 40k DPS, just really crazy numbers and stuff like that. You can go on the forums, they actually talk about it a lot, of how capable the Runeblader actually is in doing damage. Okay, the Runeblader also brings a really cool party buff, which is critical damage increase. Now, a lot of people say it's only valuable to the assassin because not a lot of people. I would say this, okay? Right now, it's the beginning of the game and we're only wearing epic gear. Epic gear only has room for 2 stats. Right now, our 2 most valuable stats are piercing, right? And then accuracy and boss damage. Okay, so we don't really have a lot of room or whatever to, you know, get crit right now for most other classes. So only classes taking advantage of crit right now is the actual assassin. But later on, once we get legendary gear, we'll have 3 stats or plus on the gear, and other classes will have a chance to get, you know, an extra attribute and stuff like that. So that's really cool. So now let's talk about the range classes. And I know earlier I said there was like 5 because I put in assassin, but the assassin is actually a range class. Okay, so for range, you have wizard, archer, heavy gunner, and assassin. Okay, and I would say priest as well. So let's start off on wizard. Wizard currently can only use the fire element, so if you're not really big into fire, I wouldn't play this class. That's just the way it is. It really can't use any of its other elements. They're just not they're not even half as strong as fire is right now, so they're all forced to kind of go fire, and that's kind of sad in a way. But they're very strong. Actually, as far as like top DPS in the game, they're up there with Berserker and Assassin. So Berserker and Assassin and Thief, these are the 4 classes or whatever that are, you know, if geared all equally or whatever, these 4 classes will pull above a little bit of the rest of the classes, slightly. So here we go on Archer. Archer is a really nice range class. It brings one of the strongest party buffs in the game right now, which is 28% chance to crit for the whole party. But it's bland. It's just like, it's like, I would say it's like the counterpart to like the knight. You know, it's like the ranged knight where the skills are kind of lame or whatever, but they do what they need to do, which is kill things. Okay, a lot of people cry about the archer being like a turret type thing. If you just want to sit in range or whatever and just pew 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 things, the archer is definitely the class for you. It can stick on a target no matter how much it's moving, which is really cool. And like I said, it has the best buff in the game. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this is a class that's kind of like, I would say archers are very rare, and I would say they're absolutely needed for everything. I would say just for the buff alone, like, you know, 28% crit buff is just like nothing to like, you know, snark at or anything like that. So I would definitely recommend Archer for people that actually want to play an Archer type class. As far as DPS, I believe the DPS on the Archer is average. So then you have the Heavy Gunner. Now the Heavy Gunner is my favorite range class, and I'm gonna be honest with you, looking at playing the Heavy Gunner and then playing the Archer or whatever, the Heavy Gunner for me was a lot more exciting. It does have that whole turret situation thing just like the Archer, to a certain aspect, but it has a lot more big cooldown skills that just hit really hard, and it feels good. It feels good just like letting off a nuke and stuff like that. Now Archer has nuke type skills as well, but nothing like the Gunner. The Gunner has a bunch of like massive explosion type skills, and it just makes it really nice. You have a steady stream of damage, and then you have like a massive numbers out of nowhere, and then a steady stream again. It feels really good. So I would definitely recommend this class to everyone. And this class is the only other class that has a heal that's a DPS class, just like Zerker. So Zerker and Heavy Gunner actually have a heal. The med kit pretty much full health you. It's pretty crazy. And the Zerker heal heals like 40 or 50% of your health. So both of them are really good. The Zerker one has a lot lower cooldown, so the sustain is just absolutely crazy. Okay, let's go on to Assassin. Now Assassin is literally considered the highest DPS and the best range class in the game. I don't like it personally. I don't like anything about the Assassin. I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the way that its animations are. I feel like the animations were kind of like half-assed versus a lot of the other classes. but most other classes don't even have animations, it seems. So I mean, like, they have animations, but they're kind of like straight to the point. I feel like the assassin could have been a lot more flashier. I don't feel like the texture on some of the throwing attacks and stuff like that are cool. I think the thief animations are a lot better. But yes, this is a range class, which is very weird, and it just throws ninja stars, and it does a crap load of damage. That's its only job, is to provide raw damage. And there's a couple classes that are just like that or whatever in the game, and I'll point all of them out here soon. But if you like the whole playstyle of the assassin, it's a very capable class, and it's actually one of the most sought after classes right now as far as damage is concerned. So here we have priest. Now you guys should already know that priest is the #1 class in the game because it's the most needed. You can't run, there's a lot of stuff you can't run without a priest, to be honest. A priest just makes life a lot better. Now as far as DPS priest, it's capable. They're capable, and when their awakening comes out, they're going to definitely be able to do a lot more DPS. But I'm just saying right now, I can't stand priests that join party and that don't heal. If a person's sitting on low health for like 20 seconds or something like that, it's unexcusable. Like, I'd kick the priest every single time. I've kicked so many priests out of my party, and for some reason they're the go-to class for bots as well. But yeah, a priest is exactly that, the best support in the game. It's a priest. It has crazy heals, non-stop consistent heals or whatever, and it has some decent DPS, and you can also juggle both of them, but make sure that your party's healthy before you start laying down the pain. Okay, so now I'm going to put these characters in, like, I guess ratings, I guess, for you guys. So top DPS classes right now, I would say, is Berserker, Assassin, and Wizard. Those are the top 3. And then, like I said, Berserker, Assassin, and Wizard, and no real order. Any one of them or whatever can take the shine away from them. All right, second top DPS classes in the game, I'm gonna say Heavy Gunner and Runeblade. Right? Oh, I forgot to put Thief. I'm gonna put Thief right under Berserker, Wizard, and Assassin. And the only reason I'm doing that is because it's very rare to find a Thief that actually is capable or whatever, but there are some out there. There's a lot of YouTube videos and stuff like that of thieves just pulling insane damage and soloing bosses and just doing absolutely crazy stuff, right? So we're gonna have Berserker, Wizard, Assassin, right? Then we're gonna have Thief. Then we're gonna have Runeblade, Heavy Gunner, and I guess we can put Archer there. I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't put Archer there, right? And then we're gonna have Knight and then Priest. So that's DPS order. As far as most valuable character to like a dungeon or something like that, we're going to pick Priest as #1 because most of the time you can't run a dungeon without a Priest, right? And then everything else behind it, because Knights are actually not even needed for dungeons most of the time. In raid, it's a different situation. In raids, you're definitely going to need Knights, but right now for hard dungeons and stuff like that, a priest is absolutely needed in just about every party, unless you're like extremely outgearing the content or whatever. And that means, like, you know, 5k gear score or something like that, when the content only requires like 2100. So then you have, for raid we're gonna have priest and then knight and then everything else, because that's just how it is. That's just really how it is. So it's just these two classes are the only real support classes in the game. Every other class in this game is just DPS. So and that's just really what it is. Even knight just does DPS. The priest would probably be the only support class in the game. So I hope this video helps you guys. I'll probably make another one in the future, more thorough. Make sure to comment down below and give your opinion on the classes, and also feel free to ask any questions you want in the comment section below, and I and other people will answer them, because that's how the community works. Peace out, guys. This is King Vox.